I lived in about 11 homes. I moved about 11 times. So I just counted on myself and nobody else.
Hundreds of thousands of them lost in America's foster care system for years, aching each day for the love of a family. Tonight, the court case about gay parenting that may go all the way to the Supreme Court. They nursed this child and 4 others to health, and 10 years later risk losing him because they're gay. Who is fit to be a parent? And what do the studies really show about gay parenting?
Do you think gay parents make gay children?
Are children confused when their parents are different?
When his friends come over, he goes, "You got 2 moms?" Parker goes, "Yeah." "Isn't that weird?" And the kid goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Why?" He goes, "Gay. Ever hear of it?"
Plus, Rosie, for the first time, talks about the woman who shares her life and her children.
They are very loved. They are very secure. My children are very happy children.
Do you hope your kids are straight?
From ABC News, this is Primetime Thursday with Diane Sawyer and Charles Gibson. Tonight, a special 2-hour primetime. Rosie's story for the sake of the children.
The 1920s ushered in an era of convenience when helpful time savers were introduced, like this wringer washer from Kenmore.
Isn't that our washer?
Need new appliances? Save during Kenmore's 75th anniversary sale and get 0% financing until January 2003 on all Kenmore appliances. Only at Sears. Where else?
I don't believe in luck, so when I decided to quit smoking, I chose Nicorette. It helps prevent cravings by setting a regular schedule. If I do get a sudden craving, I take action with another piece. Thanks to me and Nicorette, I'm finally gonna win.
You can do it. Nicorette can help.
Wouldn't it be perfect if kids were always ready to go and sausage would cook in under a minute and taste like fresh cooked?
Jimmy Dean Fresh Taste Fast Sausage. Great Jimmy Dean taste in less than a minute. Fresh taste fast, guaranteed.
Rosie's story for the sake of the children. And now, Diane Sawyer.
Good evening and welcome to a special event, a 2-hour primetime about children who need homes, parenting, a passionate debate, and a woman we all know who's about to tell a personal story for the first time. And we want to say something right at the outset. We know that people in this country have strong opinions about some of the things we're going to talk about tonight, and we respect that there are differences. So we thought we'd try to begin with something nearly everyone agrees on, which is that the American foster care system is not taking care of the children as well as it should. More than 500,000 kids are in it, more than 100,000 are ready to be adopted tonight. But there aren't enough parents lining up to take them, so many of them will bounce from home to home, year after year, losing hope. Which brings us to the court battle that captured the attention of Rosie O'Donnell, a case that poses the question, who do you think is a good parent for a child?
These are kids in an American family. Frank, Tracy, Bert, Wayne, and Ernie. All the wild and comfortable energy of growing up together. Sibling duels, sibling love.
Who makes the most mischief? Who makes the most jokes on everybody, and who? Wow, it's universal. Everybody agrees.
Their days are a controlled explosion of activity, all managed by Roger Courteau and the man they call Dad, Stephen Lofton.
Okay, Red's gonna go in
2 washers and dryers churning all the time. A frenzy of doing dishes, dust busting, skiing, snowboarding, water aerobics.
And do you clean up your beds and your...
Oh, yeah, every day.
And who makes you do your homework?
Our teacher.
Yeah.
Well, mostly.
And our dad.
And the next meeting
Wednesday. No.
I see someone's teacher every day, and so I know from the teacher how they're doing also. I'm at school every day.
Do you have homework?
They're not with friends that I don't know. They're never without an adult that I don't know. If they're going to go to somewhere new, I go with them to check it out.
And what happens if you get in trouble?
Pay a fine. Pay a fine more
Shut up, you're interrupting everybody.
Yes, you are.
The family started when Lofton and Croteau, who met in nursing school, were both nurses in the pediatric ward at Florida's Jackson Memorial Hospital. And someone asked Stephen a startling question about babies with AIDS.
And I was approached by a social worker and asked if I would apply and become a foster parent to take home a child with AIDS.
And did you say yes immediately?
No, absolutely not.
But something kept tugging at Stephen's heart. At that time, almost no one would take in these babies. So he was handed a little boy with AIDS and pneumonia. He brought him home, prepared to love him until he died.
Typically then, most children didn't live beyond 2 years.
And that's Frank?
I just need to know what the theoretical...
Frank, now a strapping 14-year-old who loves to paint and is dreaming of college.
So Frank came home in August, and then a month later, Tracy came home in September.
Tracy, HIV positive and a crack baby.
Tracy had 12 hospitalizations before we took her home. She wasn't rolling over in the crib. She wasn't sitting up. She had a severe sinus problem, so we had to suction her for almost 2 years straight, 3 or 4 times a night, just so she could breathe.
Today, that mortally sick little girl is an exuberant teenager. And then there was Bert, 9 weeks old, HIV positive, cocaine exposed with critical diarrhea and dehydration.
At that particular private children's hospital, he was so unwanted, they just handed him over and said, take him out of here.
And there is Bert. Good morning, Bert. How'd you sleep?
10-year-old Bert today. All 3 children are valiant survivors of a time when treating HIV was a shot in the dark. Tracy's face so swollen from the medicine, the AZT, because no one had any idea how much was enough for a little girl. But Tracy wasn't the only little girl in the family. Once there was Ginger, too.
There was another one of those, she's ready to go, take her. So I brought her home. Steve was home with Trace and Frank, and I sort of put Ginger in a basket, rang the bell, and left.
He did. I answered the door, and there was a baby on the doorstep. And she was a happy-go-lucky, very well-liked, kind of skip, sing-songy girl, which was lovely.
But when Ginger was 6 years old, she got measles. Here, the light is hurting her eyes. Her fragile immune system couldn't take it. She was lost along the way.
It's horrible to lose a child, but at least she was able to die at home with us and not in some strange hospital room.
And then, 3 years ago, Stephen and Roger heard about 2 brothers in Oregon who needed a home. They decided to let Frank, Tracy, and Bert vote whether to take them in as permanent members of the family. The vote was yes. And so 2 little boys arrived, also HIV positive, victims of horrifying abuse. Wayne, age 8, Ernie, age 5.
Came home and the first thing out of Frank's mouth was, Dad, they're white.
We forgot to tell him, and it just...
We never even thought of it, you know.
But you gave up full-time work to do this.
I had to. In my contract to take Frank home, I was required to stay at home full-time.
But that's a huge decision.
It was.
Yeah, sort of help out, you know, society in general.
And look what happened.
What happened was we ended up with a family that no one else wanted. And they're wonderful.
How much do you love those kids?
Oh, with all my heart. And they're my life. Our life.
Good morning, Frank. Good morning, Ernie. Good morning, Bert. Good morning, Wayne.
In their household, because the kids came home with HIV and so many health problems.
Good morning, sweetie.
Sleep is imperative. Nutrition, no exceptions. And the kids are a trained army for handling all the pills.
Every month, Frankie and I sort the pills, and Roger will order
a bag of pills, like a bag of pills. Like every year we get older, or one of us get older.
The two fathers even won the Best Parenting Award from a Miami foster care association. They also helped start a daycare center for HIV kids using their expertise as trained nurses.
So you knew everything?
No. Well, no. There's a difference between being a pediatric nurse and having a child. It's just the 24-hour duty, remembering all those little details like, oh, we have to feed him again.
What's the best thing about Roger?
He's a good cook. He works a lot.
And also he helped me like when I cut my head right here.
Oh, I see. And Tracy?
And the best thing of Dad is he knows when to pick out the right clothes and matches, because I just pick randomly.
So nice to hear Tracy compliment me on shopping for clothes. Every morning starts with a fashion fight.
Dad, he knows what to do to the house. He knows where to put the things.
Like how to what color to paint the stuff, and where to put like flowers inside, and like knows where to put something decorative like trophies or something.
And Roger, he knows where to fix the pipes or anything that's leaking.
That's Ernie pouting and waiting his turn, like any 5-year-old. So how is it this family landed at the center of one of the most watched court cases in the nation? Well, several years ago, there was some great medical news. One of the children, Bert, experienced a reversal that happens with 97% of children born HIV positive who get medication. The medication can help conquer the infant version of the virus. With Bert, the HIV is simply gone. It's called seroreversion. And then a few years after that happened, a law was passed in Florida mandating that children under the age of 14 must be moved toward adoption. It didn't affect the older children from Florida, Frank and Tracy, or the youngest who were adopted from Oregon. But at the time of the law, Bert was just 6, so a Florida social worker suggested Stephen should adopt him.
And I said, sure, I'll fill out the form.
And when you filled out the form, what?
I omitted filling out an item on the form. There's a question in the state of Florida. It asks, are you or have you ever been gay or lesbian or homosexual? I don't know how it's worded. And I didn't answer the question. For a couple of reasons. If I answered it honestly, I am gay, I would be disqualified from adopting him. And if I lied, I would be disqualified because I lied, so I left it blank.
And he was disqualified because it was an incomplete application.
When I became a foster parent and filled out forms an inch thick, that question never appeared. And everyone then knew I was gay from the get-go. Legally in the state of Florida, you can take the sickest, most unwanted children they've got and take care of them for their entire life, but you can't adopt them.
If you're gay.
If you're gay.
So in Florida, it's legal to be a gay foster parent, but not to be gay and adopt. And since Bert was no longer HIV positive, that made him easier to place, and the state started looking for a heterosexual family to take him away from the only family he'd known since he was 9 weeks old.
So, in effect, they were saying you're good enough to take care of him if he's sick, but you're not good enough to take care of him if he's well.
That's what the law says.
So, when you got word that the state was going to move to have Bert adopted, but by someone else,
we decided that we needed to fight for him. And, I mean, he was our boy.
So the battle lines were drawn, and in 1999, their case would become the 4th time a gay parent had tried to challenge the Florida law. But in round 1, the district court refused even to hear the case. It was a stunning defeat.
the district court judge says, quote, "A child's best interest is to be raised in a home stabilized by marriage in a family consisting of both a mother and a father." That in the best of all possible worlds,
maybe a biological mother and father is ideal. Right now, we don't live in an ideal world. A stable environment is important. Stephen and I have been together for 18 years. I don't know that many couples that have been together that long.
So with the help of the ACLU, they prepared to take the case to the Federal Appeals Court in Atlanta. And that's when, to their surprise, someone offered to take a stand at their side. Rosie O'Donnell, who read about the case in the newspaper and called the ACLU.
I said, I would like to read their case study, and if it is what I believe it is, I would like to do a national interview in support of them and identify myself as a gay parent in the hopes of possibly allowing this child to stay in his family. And they were in shock. The ACLU said, "Are you kidding?" I said, "I'm not kidding."
you seem so fearless. Are you worried that there's no way back from that?
I guess, I mean, part of the reason why I've never, said that I was gay until now was because I didn't want that adjective assigned to my name for all of eternity. You know, gay, Rosie O'Donnell, because it's never in the top 10 list of how I identify myself.
But she says speaking out tonight is worth it, for a reason. All the kids in foster care looking for a home.
If you're a 30-year-old gay man or woman and you feel as though your rights are being usurped, you can march on Washington, you can do an interview with Diane Sawyer, you can write to your congressman. If you're 8 years old and your basic human rights are being violated in your own home, you need an adult who was once that child to speak for you, because legally they have no voice. The #1 priority for me always is the safety of children. And the ones who have gone unprotected and unsafe are the ones that speak the loudest.
We should point out that Florida is one of 3 states with legal bans on gay adoption. Utah and Mississippi are the other 2. And a footnote about the Lofton children. We want you to know that tonight is not the first time they've talked publicly about their HIV status. For years, they have been featured in campaigns in Florida to raise awareness about children and AIDS.
Rosie, standing up for the children, sharing her private life for the first time.
I want people to know that I'm the kind of parent that the state of Florida thinks is unworthy. And it's wrong.
Rosie and her family, when Primetime continues.
Prepare yourself for the Oscars.
Sunday, March 24th on ABC.
Who wears white after Labor Day? Who wears white after Labor Day?
Well, that was once considered a fashion faux pas. Now you can wear white any time of the year.
Want expert advice whenever you need it? Come to Office Depot, where our people listen, understand, and help.
How can I get organized?
With the new generation of handhelds, you can manage multiple. It'd be nice if everything was like that. Office Depot. What you need to know.
My great-grandfather, Henry Ford, really redefined what it meant to live in this country. No boundaries, applied everything he did. And that's the part of him that really inspires me. It's a wonderful legacy. At the same time, you can't emulate anybody. You have to have your own thoughts, your own ideas, and leave your own legacy. And for me, it's really a great honor to be able to try and advance that legacy and redefine it in the 21st century. This company has always been about looking forward and anticipating the future and actually helping to shape that future. And that's what gets me up in the morning. Ford has been part of me since the minute I was born. And I wouldn't have it any other way.
Check. Perspiration. Check.
The Maytag Neptune with Stain Brain makes removing stains all but foolproof.
Thanks.
Well, at least the new kids keep them busy.
Maytag Neptune, perfecting the art of stain removal.
Look at these posers and wannabes. I mean those chicken fingers. Merely posing is spicy. You gotta try new KFC Blazing Crispy Strips. Double marinated with that extra spicy kick.
New KFC Blazing Crispy Strips. Get 3 strips, coleslaw, and a biscuit for $2.99.
Brown makes me feel powerful. Brown lets me be everywhere all at once. Brown software connects me to my suppliers. It connects me to my customers. Brown brings me my raw materials. Brown delivers my finished goods. I trust Brown. Other colors may be cute, but they don't call you back.
Making business more efficient. What can Brown do for you?
Maybe you should ask your doctor about Flonase nasal spray or call 1-877-FLONASE. When your doctor writes your prescription for Flonase nasal spray, you'll be glad you took the time. Why wait? All you want is Flonase.
What kind of men would raise sons who fly passenger jets into public buildings?
When you heard about the plane crashing in America, what did you think?
Friday, Barbara Walters from Saudi Arabia, face-to-face with 2 fathers of 9/11 hijackers, asks the questions on everyone's minds. 2020, Friday.
Sunday, a past you've never seen.
Welcome to ST6.
A future you won't believe. A new alias. Then 10/9 Central, accused of murder.
The guy didn't kill anyone.
One lawyer who'll stop at nothing to prove him guilty.
Hope this works. It better.
Objection! A new practice after a new alias. ABC Sunday starting 9/8 Central.
We're back now talking about children and gay adoption, but there's something we want to point out. For most of the children awaiting adoption tonight, the 100,000 children awaiting adoption in America's foster care system, it isn't a choice between heterosexual parenting or gay parenting. It's really about whether they'll ever have a permanent parent at all. And these are often the most fragile children, moved from home to home until they lose hope. So we gathered together some children who want to tell you their stories on behalf of all the children who were lost.
What family means to me, that people like have happy together and look out for each other. I lived in about 11 homes. I moved about 11 times. It was very hard because I had to leave all my friends in different schools or preschools. I realized that I just didn't make any friends when I was moving because I figured I was just gonna move again. So I just counted on myself and nobody else.
The worst thing was like getting your hopes up, thinking that, okay, this family is gonna keep me. Then they let you down and they put you back. It's just loneliness.
The worst thing about being bounced was that I could never get used to just one place. It was always waiting for the day to come to be moved. Family means that the person loves you and it's not going to hurt you and will always be there for you, basically.
The philosophy behind foster care was that it was supposed to be temporary. Foster care is not temporary in the United States.
Marsha Robinson Lowry is the director of Children's Rights, a nonprofit organization representing abused and neglected children.
One thing we should never forget is we're spending a lot of money to do it, a lot of public money to do this kind of damage. It's not free, and we are spending our money for such bad results. I don't know why that isn't a scandal. I don't know why people aren't shocked.
I've been in shelter homes, I've been in group homes, I've been in respite homes, I've been in pre-adopt homes. I've moved 34 different placements. I've had approximately 36 different schools.
I would still in the back of my head say maybe this family really does care. But then I moved and I just went to the next one, and every time I moved, faith would go down a little bit.
Make no mistake, many of the kids bounced from home to home in the foster care system are troubled, difficult, damaged. But given the stories we heard about their birth parents, you wondered how some of them survived.
I was age 3 years old, and my father sexually abused me and aggressively abused me, and my mom was unable to take care of me.
In about 7, I was put into foster care. due to neglect from my parents. They were drug addicts. I never seen my parents since.
I wasn't very good. I'd scream and yell. I'd have tantrums.
After a while, it takes a toll on you. You know, whether it's your emotional, everything, you know, your body just, you feel all worn down, you know, you feel like there's something wrong with you.
I guess most people want to adopt smaller children because, you know, you don't have so many psychological problems. I never thought that I would actually get adopted. Most of that time I thought nobody really wanted me.
And as we said, there are simply not enough parents willing to take in a struggling child. Many of those who do are wonderful, but many others are not. Evelyn was just 6 years old.
I would be beaten. Basically, if I did anything wrong, I was scared to do anything in that home. I remember me and my sister being locked in a room for hours. I can't remember what I did.
I remember one time my brother was strapped in a high chair with his hands pinned under the little tray, and they held his head back and poured hot sauce down his throat.
Ashley's foster parents were ultimately arrested. The charge?
Over 32 counts of felony child abuse with torture.
And we talked to social workers all over the country, good people, who told us that the system is overwhelmed and they hate to see damaged kids traumatized again. For instance, when there aren't enough homes for all the siblings.
I recently assisted a social worker in my unit in removing 2 children from a home. It was a brother and when they actually found able to find a home to place them in together. The look of sheer terror came across this little boy's face, and we tried to remove him, you know, from my car, tried to pick him up, tried to reassure him that he would see his sister again.
We're treating children so much worse than we would officially tolerate their being treated in the home that we took them away from.
Lowry says children in Florida's foster care system are some of the unluckiest in the U.S.
Children in foster care in the state of Florida are twice as likely to be abused in foster care as they are to be abused in their homes. We know that in Dade County that children stay in care an average of about 56 months, which is almost twice the national average. It's one of the worst systems we've seen. And we've seen some very bad systems, unfortunately.
Which raises a number of questions. With so many children hoping for adoption, is Florida right to block parents just because they're gay? And how are we going to get families for America's most vulnerable children?
You have to really want to save a child who others have deemed unsavable. And for the state of Florida to tell anyone who's willing, capable, and able to do that, that they're unworthy is wrong.
But a lot of people might say, look, it's Florida. Doesn't a state have a right to say, this is how we're going to define adoption in our state?
Well, there are 3,412, was the last time I looked, children in Florida, TPR. What does that mean? Termination of parental rights. Children who are legally free for adoption. Most of those children have brown or black skin. Most of those children are boys. Nobody wants them. So children who are in peril, that is what song lights up my heart. That is what tune that I march to. That is my truth.
Earlier today, we received a letter from the Florida Department of Children and Families, and they say that the overall number of adoptions is increasing in Florida and that the average stay for new foster kids is decreasing. We begin Rosie's story next.
Foster kids looking for a home. For more information, go to abcnews.com.
It's the JCPenney shopping spree. 25% off great merchandise throughout the entire store. Everybody ready? Better make room. Hurry into the shopping spree. It's all inside. JCPenney. Isn't it time you found out about Imitrex? Ask your doctor if a free sample of Imitrex is right for you. Don't wait. Talk to your doctor today about a free sample of Imitrex.
Gina? You know, when I was first hired, we didn't have all these fancy integrated systems. Our sales program wasn't even linked with accounting. Warehouse platform in Chicago wasn't linked to anything, not even shipping. Back then, orders took days. Now they just take hours.
Wow, how long have you been working here?
A couple of months now.
When software quickly connects all your business systems, that's 1 degree of separation. That's business with .NET from Microsoft.
Oh boy, diarrhea and gas and cramps too. Good thing there's Imodium Advanced Caplets, the only one with 2 medicines to stop diarrhea, gas, and cramps all at once. Whew. What a relief.
It's the JCPenney shopping spree. 25% off great merchandise throughout the entire store. Everybody ready? Better make room. Hurry into the shopping spree. It's all inside. JCPenney.
This Monday on a new Once and Again.
If being a parent is what you really want, you just have to give up everything.
Once and Again, Monday at 10/9 Central on ABC. The stars always come out for Barbara.
Are you thinking of marriage?
Am I what?
Tom Cruise, Sarah Jessica Parker, Halle Berry, the Barbara Walters Special, Sunday, March 24th, 7/6 Central on ABC.
Sharing a private moment with Rosie and her son.
When we drive up Columbus Avenue and they see like the rainbow flags, Parker always goes, "Look, Mom, gay person lives there." And I go, "That's right." He goes, "They're everywhere."
When Primetime continues, after this from our ABC stations.
Wednesday, March 27th at 8:30, 7:30 Central. Lopez is coming to ABC.
Take a look at that dress. It's J-Lo. Actually, it's G-Lo. Like J-Lo, but with a little less junk in the trunk. It's cold.
George Lopez, coming Wednesday, March 27th to ABC.
About getting to the top and doing what it takes to stay there. That's why the 2002 Ford Explorer comes with over 100 innovations, including independent rear suspension for a smoother ride and better handling. No wonder it's the #1 selling SUV on the planet. Now with $2,000 cash back on Explorer, you can lease one for just $349 a month. Only at your local Ford store.
Can't miss the savings when everything is on sale at Kohl's. This Saturday only from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. Everything in the entire store is on sale. No coupons, no gimmicks, no exclusions, no exceptions. Plus, get early bird specials from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. only. If it's under our roof, it's on sale. Because everything is on sale at Kohl's. This Saturday only from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. Kohl's, that's more like it.
Say, Ed, mind if I borrow the Ram?
Sure. Going out with your buddies? Hauling a stack of 4x8 drywall? Towing a gravel crusher?
Yeah, no, actually I just need to pick up this, like, antique sewing table.
4 full-size doors and a full-size bed. The all-new Dodge Ram. Grab Dodge's 7/100 powertrain pledge plus $1,500 cash allowance or low financing. Ford, GM, Toyota, and Honda don't match this.
Should builders leave more room to roam? Mill Creek Township says yes. The public speaks out tonight.
Rosie O'Donnell, we all know about her wild vitality on TV, her rough childhood after the death of her mother, and about her passion for children. She's raised $50 million for children's causes in the last 5 years. Her own 3 children were adopted in states where gay adoption is legal, though she considers Florida her home. And now, Rosie talking about something she hasn't talked about before.
I don't think America knows what a gay parent looks like. I am the gay parent. America has watched me parent my children on TV for 6 years. They know what kind of parent I am. So when you think of gay parenting, you don't have an image to hold on to. I will be that image because I am a gay parent.
So I walked back in and Parker goes, "What do you got there?"
Right.
I said, "The baby." And he goes, "Oh, great, a new one."
You gonna tell your kids about this interview?
Well, they know, like, when we drive up Columbus Avenue and they see, like, the rainbow flags, Parker always goes, "Look, Mom, gay person lives there." And I go, "That's right." He goes, "They're everywhere." You know, he tells his friends, when his friends come over, I heard him talking, playing Lego one day. He goes, "You got 2 moms?" Parker goes, "Yeah. Isn't that weird?" And the kid goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Why?" He goes, "Gay. Ever hear of it?" Like, to him, it's just part of his,
So did Parker ask?
Well, he has always known. This has always been his life, and he's always known. People have said that to me, "Are you out to your children?" I want to laugh. I go, "What do you mean by that?" You know, he understands that there are different types of people, that he grew in another lady's tummy, that God looked inside and saw there was a mix-up, and that God brought him to me, and I'm the kind of mommy that falls in love with another mommy, and that's why he has 2 mommies. He understands. In our house, all questions are permitted, and answers are always given. They can ask whatever they want of me, and I will tell them the truth, always. Half the problem in my childhood, I could never say it. It's horrible that my mom is dead, and it's horrible that everyone in school teases me about it, and it's horrible that we don't have nice clothes like everyone else, and it's horrible that I don't have teeth that have cavities and I have dirty hair, and all the things were horrible when I was a kid, and the even more horrible part was I wasn't allowed to say it. So to me, you're allowed to say anything you feel, anytime you feel it, as long as you have respect for each person in the family.
Ever felt the sting of discrimination?
Not for being gay, I have to tell you, I never did. I felt the hardest thing in my life to get through was my childhood. And everything else, to me, paled in comparison. You know, a lot of the gay community has really given me a lot of crap in the last few years, saying, you know, she's so out. And it's true, I am. I have lived my life very openly and very truthfully. When I was with a man, everyone knew who my partner was. And when I was with a woman, everyone knew who my partner was. There was never any secret or any hiding. There was never any trying to trick anyone.
And that's true. Most everyone in the news and entertainment world has known. And knows Kelly Carpenter, too. The former marketing executive at Nickelodeon, who's been with Rosie for 4 years. They were introduced by Rosie's brother, Danny, a lawyer who also happens to be gay. But what about the rest of the country, the middle American audience? Will mouths drop open? Do they care? Do they know?
Do you think your audience knows?
I don't really know. I don't really think, you know, I don't think about that. You know, there are many, many housewives out there who watch the show and who love me. And, you know, people had said to me, well, you don't want to do this case because what if they stop watching? I said, I have more faith in them than that. I really do. I think if they felt as though it was a lie, if they felt like I was pretending to be who I am on the show, they would turn away. But I haven't lied to them yet. This is another element that I hadn't shown them, but it was never a lie.
But you did wait.
I wanted to make sure until I was in a committed long-term relationship. I've been in one for about 4 years, a person I'm going to spend my life with. I wanted to make sure that I was ready to handle whatever it is that comes with this, and I wanted there to be a reason. And the Lofton case, this young boy, Bert, 10 years old, being threatened to take away from the only family he's known, that's a good reason for me. That's a really good reason. And all those 3,400 children in Florida, it's a really good reason, I think. You know, I'm not really doing it for a big coming out thing, and I don't begrudge anyone who does that. For some people, being gay is a huge challenge in their life. It never was for me. And if it's a big challenge in your life, when you finally say it, it's fanfare and trumpets and confetti. But it's not that for me. The only thing different about my show yesterday and the day after this airs is that now the audience knows one more thing about me. You know, it's not going to become the gay Rosie magazine, and it's not going to be the gay Rosie O'Donnell show. It's just going to be the Rosie O'Donnell show.
Shows filled with the passions everyone knows about.
How cute, Frida! You look adorable!
Handicrafts.
Going steady, going steady, going steady, steady for good, going steady.
Show tunes.
I don't know where people keep getting these ideas, but...
And her famous crushes like Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise? Now what was that about?
Well, Tom knows Kelly very well.
Yeah.
And, you know, we've had dinner with him and his wife and Nicole and now with Penelope, and he's a very good friend of mine. And he's, you know, we go to dinner, all of us together, and, you know, my love for him has never been, I never once said I want him naked in the bed doing the nasty. I want him to mow my lawn and get me a lemonade. He makes my palms sweat, he makes my heart beat, and I adore him. Gay, straight, or somewhere in between, he is the perfect man that ever walked the face of the earth, if you ask me. But, you know, and I've said that too, and some gay rights people or gay activists have said, oh, you're trying to make people think that you're straight by saying that Tom Cruise thing. As if gay people cannot appreciate the aesthetic beauty of somebody of the other gender. That is so untrue. He's absolutely the most handsome, gorgeous, make-me-blotch man I've ever met in my life. That doesn't mean that that's my sexuality or that I'm going to end up marrying him or would want to. You know, I've said on my show many times, I don't like him in an adult, sexual, carnal way. I like him like Davy Jones. I used to put his poster on my wall and kiss it goodnight before I went to bed. That's Tom Cruise for me.
But polls say 43% of Americans still think homosexuality is not an acceptable alternative lifestyle. So what about the arguments, whether at the dinner table or in legal briefs?
Let me ask you about some of the things they argue in court. Okay? We have a right to think it's morally wrong.
Right, well, homosexuality is not a morality issue, if you ask me. The way someone acts and treats other people in their life, that is a morality issue. There are people who are closed-minded who are going to say that, but they're wrong. And when they see families like mine or the Loftons, and they understand that there is another way, that children can be raised in a home that doesn't have a mother and father, whether that be a single person or in a homosexual relationship, I think it's going to be to the detriment of those is that a word?
Betterment.
Yeah. Betterment of those 500,000 kids in foster care.
They say, first of all, that children simply are just better off in a heterosexual parent situation.
Well, that may be true, but the fact is that 1/3 of all children adopted out of foster care go to single parents. 1/3. You can adopt if you're single, but you can't adopt if you're single and homosexual.
But would you concede that if they had heterosexual couple homes for all these kids, that would be better?
Well, I don't think it would be better necessarily. I think that if you think heterosexuals make better parents than homosexuals, I have 500,000 pieces of evidence to show you that heterosexuals are not always great parents. Virtually all of the children who are in foster care were taken out of heterosexual homes. What you need to be a good parent does not have anything to do with sexuality. You need consistency, you need love, you need acceptance and diversity and stability, and all those things can be provided by gay people as well as straight people. Sexuality is not a precursor to good parenting.
When we come back, the hot button issue. Do gay parents raise gay children? And later, Rosie, when she first knew.
I remember driving my car when I got my permit. I was 18, and I was alone, and I was like, I totally think I'm gay. Like, I said it out loud in the car.
When Primetime returns.
Weeks on Primetime Thursday, a primetime murder mystery. Is it primal fear?
I can't remember, my head just hurts.
His experts say he wasn't himself when he killed another man. They say they watched as he transformed into another person, a killer.
Back again?
Do you believe the multiple personality defense? Primetime Undercover, on the trail with the real crime scene investigators. First, the Philadelphia Homicide Unit.
How soon after this would you all have been here?
As they hunt for cold-blooded killers.
I will gladly watch his execution.
Then, unraveling the true stories of forensic mysteries.
And it's tough to tell who somebody is from a pair of socks.
Microscopic evidence, fiber by fiber.
So no question female. How did you know her age?
Right before your eyes. Primetime with a story you won't forget.
In simple terms, you build them new faces?
I build them new faces.
A former CIA disguise artist, now using his talents to give people back their identities.
Everything in the face is possible to do.
This you have to see to believe. And hold on. Baby, oh baby. Their birth made history. One mom, 6 babies. Now, 20,000 bottles, 30,000 diapers, and millions of bubbles later. The Dilly six-pack is back. Thought they were a handful then? Wait until you see them now. If it's Thursday, it must be prime time.
I am one of the many
many people.
We used to think they're frequent, persistent heartburn.
It's just plain old heartburn.
But if you've treated your heartburn, changed your diet, and the pain still comes back 2 or more days a week, it could be from acid reflux disease.
And over time, that acid churning up can wear away the lining of your esophagus. I didn't know.
I didn't know.
I didn't know.
Today, there's a purple pill called Nexium from the makers of Prilosec. For many people, 1 prescription Nexium a day means complete
24-hour.
Day and night heartburn relief.
And Nexium is also proven to heal erosions in the esophagus caused by acid reflux. Only a doctor can tell if you had this damage. Other serious stomach conditions may still exist. The most common side effects of Nexium and Prilosec are headache, diarrhea, and abdominal pain. Talk to your doctor and call this number for more information and a free trial offer for Nexium.
Relieve the heartburn, heal the damage. It's possible with today's purple pill called Nexium.
The moment you realize there's a lot more to this than you thought, you need Baby Depot. Our National Baby Registry lets your friends and family get big savings on the best brands of everything you need for baby at any of our over 290 locations. Right now, save up to $20 on Delta cribs and solder ready-to-assemble furniture. Plus, save 20% on coordinating bedding and accessories from Disney Baby Nursery by Design. When that special moment arrives, come to Baby Depot at Burlington Coat Factory.
Brace yourself. You've never experienced the awesome power packed into new Listerine Pocket Pack strips. Each tiny strip dissolves instantly, killing germs to leave your mouth feeling so clean, you'll wonder how we did it. Cool Mint Listerine Pocket Packs. Kill the germs, feel the clean.
An actor with an orange grove, 3,000 trees he tends himself. People don't believe it, but it's true. I have to admit, I'm crazy about plants, trees, and gardening. Which brings me to Miracle Grow Plant Food. It has the power to transform your garden. It feeds through the leaves, as well as the roots, so you get bigger plants and twice the blooms. Even if you're new to gardening, you can dream big and actually get big. Have you used Miracle Grow lately?
Totally new Nissan Altima.
Tomorrow on World News Tonight, with so much that could hold her back, she was determined to let nothing stop her from reaching her goals and going for the gold. Her amazing story only on ABC's World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
Monday, March 25th, ABC presents the classic story of boy meets girl. Meets girl, meets girl, meets girl, meets girl, meets girl, meets girl, meets girl. Boy picks one girl to hopefully become his wife. The Bachelor, a true love story. Monday, March 25th, only on ABC.
Something extraordinary has happened to Kathleen Nolan. She's about to join the ranks of the 9 most powerful people in the United States.
You are the president's nominee for the Supreme Court.
Oh my God.
Sally Field in the Court, ABC Tuesday, March 26th.
If you're wondering by now how many gay parents would apply for adoption in Florida if they could, we don't know. All we do know is that there are not enough heterosexual parents applying for these children. And we want to say again that we know there are so many passionate views on this subject from all sides, and we wanted to make sure that we had a chance to hear the questions from all sides. So we contacted Florida state officials, child care officials, but they wouldn't talk. We also called 24 state legislators, and one of them did talk. He is Representative Randy Ball, a state legislator from Cape Canaveral, an ex-Marine and graduate of Liberty Baptist Theological Seminary. But Representative Ball said it's important to put opinions aside and look at facts, the studies on risk factors among homosexuals and the consequence to the children they might raise.
What makes great parents?
Well, that's an interesting question. I've got 4 children and I haven't discovered it yet, but I think first of all, if they love each other, that's a very important thing. Secondly, they have to have the interest of the child probably at first. more than anything else. And really beyond that, I'm not sure that there's a whole lot that you do to be a good parent, but you have to avoid, destructive things and things that will put the children in harm's way. Probably that's what I've discovered.
So, heterosexual parents are better parents?
I would say yes, absolutely.
Because?
A child is greatly benefited in his social and in his emotional development if he can understand and experience the relationship of a man and a woman. If you're in a relationship of, let's say you're a lesbian couple, you don't get to see men and women in general working together. And for instance, where a dad, he might tend to be bold and daring. Mom is a little more reserved. He doesn't get to see that. He doesn't get to see the relationships of mothers and fathers with their children, which if you go to, kind of any playground, you can see dad urging the child on to great exploits. Mom saying, well, be a little more careful there. And then there's the relationship of husbands and wives, how a man treats a woman, how a woman treats a man, how they tenderly love each other. When you take away those three relationships from a child, it greatly stunts his development emotionally and psychologically.
So no homosexual parent is good or good enough to be allowed to be a parent?
No, I don't think I said that. You can probably show examples where a homosexual couple has raised a child, and by everybody's measure, he's turned out fine. But when you look at the rule is it is not that homosexual couples do not provide the kind of stable, wholesome environment that would justify the state having a law that allows them to adopt children.
Do you know that Stephen Lofton and Roger Croteau have had 5 sick kids that they have nursed to health in the foster care system?
I've heard that they did, indeed. I'd say what they have done has been commendable, but they're not going to be adoptive parents.
To understand the history of the Florida law banning gay adoption, you have to go back to 1977.
I really couldn't care less if they keep it to themselves and keep it in the bedroom.
Anita Bryant was the face of what was called the Save Our Children campaign, a movement designed to fight the new cause of gay rights.
And we're met with protest and all kinds of problems. And
it was a raw and angry battle, and Anita Bryant has said it caused her great suffering. Over the years, Florida has backed up its position with studies. You can find them on websites and in Florida's legal briefs. The state's chief witness, Dr. George Reckers, in depositions, says studies show that gay parents are more likely to produce gay children. And there are other reports that raise concern among people observing the gay community across the country. Reports about unprotected sex, the incidence of AIDS, reports of high levels of domestic violence between gay male partners, and damaging accounts of drug use and wild promiscuity.
The homosexual magazine genre, it did a survey on its own, and the results that it published were that 24% of the people that that responded to their survey indicated that they had 100 or more sexual partners.
What about sexual partners? Again, we're always hearing about the high numbers.
Yes, we are, and I think there's probably some truth to that.
This is Dr. Judith Stacy, sociologist at the University of Southern California, and probably the nation's most often quoted analyst of studies on gay parents and the children they raise. She says Representative Ball is right. There are studies about gay promiscuity. But she points out that this study is not looking at gay parents.
That study does not compare men who are parents with other men. If you're looking at the gay men who want to be parents, they are on the low end of all of the other things. This is a small sample.
On the low end of
They're at the low end of HIV infection. They're on the low end of multiple sexual partners. They're on the low end of substance abuse. They're on the low end of violence. This is true in general for parents on average compared to non-parents.
And a report shows that the households with the least violence are not heterosexual households, but lesbian couples. In fact, you know who has the lowest incidence of violence? Lesbian women.
Is that right?
And what about that explosive study you see quoted all over the internet by a man named Dr. Paul Cameron, suggesting homosexual parents have a greater tendency to molest their children, that 29% are molested?
Paul Cameron has been expelled from the American Psychological Association, censored by the American Sociological Association for manufacturing data, selectively misrepresenting, and he has an institute, and they produce these studies that unfortunately judges cite in their decisions. Absolutely false.
And Stacy also says the people of Florida should know something about another expert, the state's chief witness, Dr. George Reckers. We asked him for an interview. He accepted and then declined because of illness. And a public information officer said, quote, he's not comfortable with the subject matter.
He has done aversion therapy to change boys who have, as he calls it in the deposition, limp wrists into being more masculine. He's not even a member of the American Psychological Association. I was really, really surprised that the state of Florida would have as their key expert witness someone with that little respect in the profession.
But you don't have to be a dedicated opponent of gay parenting in Florida or anywhere else to have real questions about how children will fare in same-sex households. What about the stigma, the teasing? And role models, is it sexually confusing to grow up with two dads or two moms? And what do we really know about whether children raised by gay parents will become gay too?
The rule is moms and dads do a pretty good job, so the law should accommodate that rule. They need to have a mom and a dad role model, and they need to have that kind of permanent relationship that the same-sex couples do not give them.
Do you hope your kids are straight?
We started dancing.
Hello? Yes. Yeah, I just... Our credit? Yeah, sure. We pay some bills late, but we pay them. But that shouldn't keep us from getting the house.
Paying bills late can have a negative effect on your credit and could keep you from owning a home.
Who's that? Salesman.
But it's never too late to get it right. Call for the free guide on credit from the Fannie Mae Foundation and for a list of lenders and credit counselors.
I've been racing vacuums underground for about a year now. I run a bagless Abyssal Clean View. She's got tons of power. Maneuvers like a dream. Of course, eventually, you gotta empty them. That's where races are won and lost, in the pits.
Break away from bags forever. Bissell, we mean clean.
The bond between woman and machine, that's pretty special.
Available at Kohl's.
To Nissan, it's a fusion of performance, styling, and innovation. To 50 renowned automotive journalists, however, it's an aphrodisiac. Presenting the new Nissan Altima, North American Car of the Year.
Gotta go right now. Gotta go. Gotta go right now. Gotta go.
I have to go now.
If you've always got to go, ask your doctor about Detrol LA. It's been proven effective for overactive bladder.
Need a break? Not right now.
You shouldn't take it if you have stomach, urinary, or glaucoma problems. The most common side effects are dry mouth, constipation, abdominal pain, and headache.
And I don't have to go right now.
Detrol LA, when you've always got to go.
Who sings that? The Seekers. The Seekers.
No. Cornelius Brothers and Sister Rose, 1972.
You want expert answers whenever you need them? Come to Office Depot, where our people listen, understand, and help.
How can I get organized?
The new generation of handhelds. It'd be nice if everything was like that. Office Depot. What you need to know.
What kind of men would raise sons who fly passenger jets into public buildings?
When you heard about the plane crashing in America, what did you think?
Friday, Barbara Walters from Saudi Arabia, face-to-face with two fathers of 9/11 hijackers, asks the questions on everyone's minds. 2020, Friday.
David Weiss, a small-town guy trying to make it big in Hollywood. And that means getting to know the network vice president.
I started out as Paul's assistant, and now I'm vice president of programs.
How can I move up in the ranks that quickly?
When you come into work tomorrow morning, be a black woman.
The show's called Wednesday, 9:30, 8:30 Central, and that's when it's on, March 27th on ABC.
A special edition of Primetime Thursday. Rosie's story for the sake of the children continues with Diane Sawyer.
If you're just joining us, here's a quick look back at what we covered earlier.
When you think about those gay parents, think about me, because it is me.
Rosie O'Donnell speaking out for the sake of the hundreds of thousands of children who need families.
I'm saying it now because I want people to know that I'm the kind of parent that the state of Florida thinks is unworthy. And it's wrong.
Talking about her own family, too.
Would his friends come over? He goes, "You got two moms?" Parker goes, "Yeah." "Isn't that weird?" And the kid goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Why?" He goes, "Gay. Ever hear of it?"
And you also met the gay couple and the children at the center of a major court battle.
Who makes the most mischief? Wow, it's universal.
The state of Florida says even though these men raised and nurtured HIV-positive kids, they're not fit to adopt them.
What they have done has been commendable, but they're not going to be adoptive parents.
And now, in this hour, as our story moves ahead, we ask tough questions. Does growing up with gay parents mean the children will be gay?
Do you hope your kids are straight?
And we learn more of Rosie's private world, raising 3 kids with her partner. And for a public woman, the private discovery.
I remember driving my car when I got my permit. I was 18, and I was alone, and I was like, I totally think I'm gay. Like, I said it out loud in the car.
A television icon going public to speak about the 500,000 children in foster care. 134,000 of them ready to be adopted tonight. Asking, if you were choosing, would you keep them in government custody or give them a home with a parent like her? And once again, good evening, and we welcome you back to our 2-hour event on Primetime Thursday. Coming up, Rosie's personal story about parenting at her home. And also, we'll try to answer that question. Do gay parents raise gay children? After the break.
I thought, my Lord, if somebody came to me now and said, "Oh, Parker, you know, he's a foster kid, and the parents' rights are terminated, but we're going to take him now because you're gay," my world would collapse. So doing a case like this makes perfect sense for me, just to bring attention, to say to everyone, I know it's not what you're used to thinking about. I know it makes people uncomfortable, the gay thing, but the parents that they're talking about who are not good enough, it's me. It's me.
Primetime Thursday continues after this from our ABC stations.
Monday, March 25th. He's got the looks.
Very attractive. Dark hair, tall.
He's so dreamy.
He's got the charm.
Really, really sweet guy.
He's even got the ring.
I'll take it.
All he needs now?
You can't miss the savings when everything is on sale at Kohl's. This Saturday only from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. Everything in the entire store is on sale. No coupons, no gimmicks, no exclusions, no exceptions. Plus, get early bird specials from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. only. If it's under our roof, it's on sale. Because everything is on sale at Kohl's. This Saturday only from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. Kohl's, that's more like it.
As Auditor General, Bob Casey uncovered a crisis in our nursing homes, forcing the state to enact new reforms to protect our seniors. He fought so strongly against sending taxpayer money to child care providers with criminal records that he forced the governor to change the state's policy. The only Democrat in statewide executive office, Casey's taken on powerful special interests and stood up for people. And the people have responded, twice electing Bob Casey by historic margins. Bob Casey, a proven fighter for Pennsylvania.
JET TV and Harrington Incorporated take this time to recognize the Firefighter of the Month.
This month's Firefighter Award goes to Brady Heltman of the Cranesville Fire Department. Brady is being recognized for his quick thinking and compassion in the tragic January 19th fire on Route 6N in Albion.
House fires are never easy for firefighters, especially when people are involved. I take this time to encourage all people to have a planned and practiced escape route for several areas of the house.
Brady, please accept this check for the Cranesville Fire Department.
Thank you.
Compared to Honda Civic and Ford Focus, Dodge Neon ES gives you more cool features, like 132 horsepower, 6-speaker CD sound system, spoiler, and fog lamps, for thousands less. Just something to reflect on. Grab Dodge's 7-100 powertrain protection pledge. Ford, GM, and Toyota don't have it.
Personal story, but you may have read recently that the American Pediatric Association announced its support of gay adoption, saying that children in gay households can have the same advantages of health, adjustment, and development as those in heterosexual ones. Even so, many people do continue to wonder if somehow children don't model their behavior after gay parents. And are those children more likely to grow up gay?
Frank.
4 years ago, gay dads Stephen Lofton and Roger Croteau took their family and moved to Oregon. The whole family. Those abused, neglected, and HIV-positive babies they nursed into healthy kids. Now the only girl in the household, Tracy, hangs out with Stephen's mother and sister and dresses up with wigs.
I go over to a friend's house and play with her, because there's nothing to do with the boys, because they're just sitting on their butts playing with Legos.
Fair enough.
I have to live with four
Yeah.
four boys.
Did they drive you crazy?
Yes. Yep. Stomach's so red.
But yeah, she loves us all.
Yeah.
Frank is attracted to girls and Tracy to boys, and Bert, Wayne, and Ernie are too young to have an interest.
They like Legos.
Yeah, they like Legos.
So, anybody in this house have a girlfriend or boyfriend?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. Somebody special?
You don't have to share stuff.
No.
No, I was surprised that Tracy didn't tell you about her boyfriend, but I'll leave that to her.
We asked the two of them about the concern among a lot of people that gay parents model behavior and therefore will have gay children.
My parents weren't gay, and I'm gay. Were your parents gay?
No.
No, his parents weren't gay. So I don't know where that argument's coming from.
We know that parents model behavior.
And we also had questions for Dr. Judith Stacy of the University of Southern California, the best-known analyst of studies about gay parents. Since we know kids do imitate their parents, doesn't it make sense that a different kind of parent would create at least confusion?
But this is a question I have. You have a child who sees two men kissing. They aren't confused about what at least the rules of the majority are?
In the studies, there is no evidence that their behavior is anywhere outside the conventions.
But I want to ask this one more time because it just seems to make logical sense.
Yes.
That if you see sort of the conventional world saying one kind of interaction is the right thing and the norm, and then at home you see something different, that you'd be confused, that you would have some confusion.
Well, I disagree about confusion. You'd be aware of difference. I mean, children are smarter than that. They're really smarter than that. They know that everyone's different.
Do you think parents, that gay parents make gay children?
Again, Florida legislator Randy Ball, who supports his state's ban on gay adoption.
I think the indications from science, again, are that there's a greater tendency. And a moment ago, I was about ready to quote one, and it was the Journal of Developmental Psychology, who looked at 2,000 lesbians and found that among daughters of lesbians, there is a factor of 4. There's a greater propensity to become lesbians by a factor of 4.
It says children of lesbian and gay parents are at a rate 4 times higher than children of heterosexuals likely to become homosexuals themselves.
Dr. Stacy got that article, read it, and says she knows the study it's based on well. In fact, it's the study that put her in the headlines. She says it's not a study of 2,000 lesbians. It's a small British study of 25 children raised by lesbian moms. And she adds it does not show that lesbian mothers create homosexual children, though it does show something provocative. So provocative it caused alarm among some gay activists.
You found that the children of gay parents, lesbian gay parents, were more likely to experiment with their sexuality.
6 of the children with lesbian moms had either considered or had one same-sex experience, and the children with the heterosexual moms had not.
Does that study show that they entertain the idea or they act on it? They actually engage in more same-sex behavior.
That particular study shows both, that they're more open to the possibility and that a larger minority have acted on it once.
I think I've got this quote right. The reality is that gay parents allow being gay to be an option.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. And that's a value judgment, whether you think that's a bad thing or not.
But did the experimenting mean kids became gay?
None of the children with the lesbian moms, curiously, identified as lesbian. The vast majority of children turned out heterosexual. They're in their early 20s now.
So the people who say that gay parents produce gay children,
I think are wrong.
Dr. Stacy says it's possible that down the road there will be more gay children from gay parents. But if so, it will be only because those children feel safer expressing what they intrinsically are.
If the Florida legislators are worried about indoctrination, they're really misguided.
But do you think homosexuality is a choice?
It's not a conscious choice. It's very driven. But what leads to it being so driven, so compelling, we don't know.
Do you think homosexuals decide to be homosexual?
Yes, they do. I do believe so.
Did you decide to be heterosexual?
I didn't decide to be heterosexual. I'm just kind of turned out that way, and I'm very happy about that.
So why do you think they decide to be homosexual?
Because of the ones that you deal with and that you know, and again, it harks back to your worldview.
Representative Ball says specifically he means a religious worldview, the Bible that says homosexuality is wrong.
That book says that he created in the beginning a man and a woman, and that's how the race is continued, through procreation, and that homosexuality is wrong. That explains to me why all people are very naturally heterosexual.
I'm not asking that people accept homosexuality. I'm not asking that they believe like I do, that it's inborn. I'm not asking that. All I'm saying is don't let these children suffer without a family because of your bias, because of Anita Bryant's hate-filled rhetoric. There's no reason for that.
And don't forget the American Psychological Association, the American Academy of Pediatrics, the Child Welfare League all say homosexuals should be allowed to adopt. Why? Because the science is very strong about crucial questions of how kids of gay parents grow up. Dr. Stacy says multiple studies of more than 1,000 children examine success, happiness, mental health, and come to one conclusion.
Never do they find that that makes a negative difference in the child's well-being. And therefore, we call that a robust finding. When you have enough studies that consistently have measured the same thing and come out with the same results, it's generalizable.
Between heterosexual and homosexual parenting?
No difference. No statistical difference. There were no differences on depression, on mental health, on popularity. They don't drop out of school, they don't use substances more, they're responsible citizens, etc. That's because all of the studies have studied that. Every single one over 2 decades has come out with the same results.
Just like the studies that consistently show what damages children: conflict between parents, turbulent childhoods.
Is adoption necessarily better than foster care, or in general better than foster care?
Yeah, we do know that it's really bad for children to have no sense of commitment to the from or to the adults around them. We know that all of those factors have so much more impact on the differences in child outcomes than sexual orientation.
So you like your family better than any family?
Yeah. Yeah. And also they teach us how to cut and stuff with a knife.
At the table?
We all know different things. We all help each other.
And we have different
We all work as a team. We're all a unit.
Roger taught them how to cut too.
So, how did you feel when people say, hey, what about gay adoption? Is that a good idea or a bad idea? What would you say to everybody out there?
They didn't ask me anything about that.
They never asked me. But I'll just say it doesn't really matter. It's just going to be like the same thing.
Representative Ball says no matter how wonderful the Lofton family may be, he wants no exceptions to the law.
And you will never agree to a case-by-case decision?
No, because you can never really predict the outcome, and the stakes are too high.
Unlike heterosexual parents, where, of course, you can always predict the outcome, right?
With heterosexual parents, the rule is that they're going to be okay, so the state law should allow it.
Would you ever go to their home and see what it's like?
I don't think there would be a need for me to do that as far as my opinion of this issue.
So, to Bert, who doesn't want to leave this home, at the end of the day, you say?
I would say we will not allow you to be adopted by the gentleman.
Coming up, life in Rosie's family.
Blakey, who's 2, calls her mama and calls me more mama, which I think has something to do with my size. I'm not positive.
Foster kids looking for a home. For more information, go to abcnews.com.
The 74th Annual Academy Awards live Sunday, March 24th on ABC.
Ready Whip is the only leading whip topping that's made from real cream. Our inspectors wouldn't have it any other way. Ready Whip, real cream, real fun. Now available in chocolate.
You know, we really don't mind getting all dressed up for Easter. In fact, some of us actually like it. But we don't want to make a big deal out of it. Yeah, we love new clothes. But for us, it's definitely Burlington Coat Factory. That's where we shop. There are so many ways to look great, and the prices are so low, we can always get something extra. We may be young, but we're smart enough to know if we have to get all dressed up, we want to like how we look.
Burlington Coat Factory, we're more than great coats.
What's wrong?
Look!
Stay calm. I can clean that floor, mate.
The Hoover Floor Mate replaces buckets, mops, and brooms.
It's the fast and easy way to clean down under.
It vacuums hard floors, it washes and scrubs, then squeegees floors dry. It even cleans and shines sealed hardwood.
Now that's a clean floor, mate.
Floor Mate, only from Hoover.
For 4 years, we were together every minute. These days, I see him maybe once a year. But just get 2 of us on the phone, and there's a party going on.
Introducing AT&T Unlimited.
We do like to talk.
The first long-distance plan that doesn't keep track of how much you talk.
I pay just one flat rate, and that lets me call each of them as much as I want. And nobody looks at the clock.
$19.95 a month gets you unlimited calls to any AT&T residential long-distance customer. Make all the calls you want, whenever you want.
Today we're spread out everywhere, L.A., New York. But you'd be surprised how often we find ourselves back in that house.
Let your long distance be unlimited. To enroll, call 1-800-REACH-OUT or visit att.com/unlimited.
From the dark and demented mind of Danny DeVito, the director that brought you The War of the Roses and Throw Mama from the Train.
Hey, it's Smoochie!
Smoochie. Smoochie is the face of evil. Death to Smoochie. Rated R. Starts March 29th.
Sunday, a past you've never seen.
Welcome to ST6.
A future you won't believe. A new alias. Then 10/9 Central, accused of murder.
The guy didn't kill anyone.
One lawyer who'll stop at nothing to prove him guilty.
Hope this works.
It better.
Objection! A new practice after a new alias. ABC Sunday starting 9/8 Central.
Monday, March 25th. He's got the looks.
Very attractive. Dark hair, tall.
He's so dreamy.
He's got the charm.
Really, really sweet guy.
He's even got the ring.
I'll take it.
All he needs now is a bride.
He's the luckiest guy in the world to be able to choose out of these 25 women.
The Bachelor, 6 weeks, 25 women, and one choice to last a lifetime.
He's everything you look for in a guy.
Series premiere Monday, March 25th, only on ABC.
Rosie's story, For the Sake of the Children. Primetime Thursday continues after this from our ABC stations.
Leading the way, Ford's leading the way, wherever you're headed today.
Your local Ford store is home to the double 5-star safety-rated Ford Taurus and the quadruple 5-star safety-rated Ford Windstar. And right now, we're leading the way with $2,500 cash back on these amazing vehicles, which means you can lease a Taurus for just $239 a month or a Windstar for just $339 a month. A commitment to safety and great value. Another reason why
Ford's leading the way.
The family that lives here has something to be really excited about this season because they finally replaced those ugly, drafty, hard-to-clean windows with Thermotwin windows. You can call employee-owned Thermotwin right now and learn how you can have beautiful, easy-to-clean windows. Plus, Thermotwin windows are energy efficient and will help cut down on costly energy bills. Now their house is truly a dream house. It looks great and it's easy to maintain. Call the folks from employee-owned Thermotwin and get the facts.
The ratings are in, and Action News 24 wants to thank you for making us, every day and every night, Erie's #1 choice for news. More people turn to Action News 24 for breaking news. Quick work by Mill Creek Police. Northwestern Pennsylvania's most accurate forecasts. Target 24 investigations. In the morning, analyzing Paris. Your stories. Every day, every night, Erie's #1 choice for news. Action News 24 is on your side.
The world's largest factory closeout sale is here. You'll save hundreds, even thousands of dollars on pool tables, above ground pools, top brand spas, Wolf home tanning systems. Plus, get no payments, no interest financing until 2003. This sale will be conducted exclusively at all Lighthouse stores.
The free tax ride for some homeowners may be coming to an end. The story tonight.
Primetime continues. Here again, Diane Sawyer.
And now back to Rosie's family. 3 children, 2 mothers, and the questions she knows a lot of people are asking at home, including the one, do gay parents raise gay children?
I had heterosexual parents. Every gay person I know had heterosexual parents. It was modeled in my house. I don't think you choose it. This is what I believe. Who would choose it? It's a very difficult life. You get socially ostracized. You worry all the time whether or not you're in physical danger if you show affection to your partner. You worry that you're an outcast with your friends and with your society in general. It's a very difficult life. I don't think anyone would choose it.
And what age did you know?
It would be a better story, I think, for a lot of gay activists if I had a real, great coming out story to tell you. I don't. We didn't have a typical house. My mom had died. My dad was not very available. It wasn't the greatest environment. So when all my friends in high school, my girlfriends, were going out to bars and picking up men and fooling around on the beach, I would go with 2 rolls of quarters. I would get Diet Coke, and I was the designated driver. So it was never like a priority for me. I never thought about it. My family, very Irish Catholic, traditional, a little embarrassed about sex to begin with. When I was I first fell in love at 20 with a woman, and then I've had lovers who have been men as well. And it took me a while to understand and to figure out all the things that made me me, where I was most comfortable, who I was, and how I was going to define my life, which coat fit me. And I found the coat that fit me. I remember driving my car when I got my permit, and I was alone, and I was like, I totally think I'm gay. I said it out loud in the car. I remember thinking, wow, that's, right, just like that, it hit me.
How does Kelly feel about your talking today?
Well, she's a very private person, she thinks it's a good thing to do on the whole, but she's like, I hope they don't expect me to do, the Anne Heche interview. I'm not gonna be. I said, no, they don't expect that. She's a very intelligent, proper, Southern woman, and this was never what she thought her life would be with a famous person. She knew she was gay much younger than I knew. She knew at 8 or something, and had studied ballet, and it was a tough place to be a gay person as a ballerina. And you know, we have a wonderful, supportive, loving relationship, and she makes me very, very happy. And I am, you know, also talking about it publicly, to me, is a commitment to how strongly I feel about it, you know. I said to her, you know, as soon as I sit down with Diane, you ain't going nowhere no matter what you do. Because I do, I feel, I mean, but I felt that when we had a child together, when we adopted Blake together, I felt a life commitment that I never felt with anyone else. And I was sure enough to know that I can speak about it honestly and openly and without shame, because it's a very beautiful thing.
Blake is now 2 years old, Chelsea 4, Parker 6.
Did you think a lot about what they'd call you, what they'd call Kelly?
Oh, no. They, well, when I met Kelly, I had 2 children. I had Parker and Chelsea, and so they call Kelly Kelly, and they call me Mama. And Blakey, who's 2, calls her Mama and calls me more Mama, which I think has something to do with my size. I'm not positive, but he made it up himself. We didn't really go through that. You know, Kelly was raised by her stepfather and her mother, and he is a father to her in every way, and she calls him by his first name, Joel. So that was never really an issue. Kelly's father is a very, very active part of their lives, and that's been a tremendous godsend.
But do you specifically arrange the presence of your brothers or of...
Yes, and that's purposeful, because I want them to have good male role models. I want them to see men as good and loving and wonderful people, which they are. And I'm raising 2 of them. My main goal is to keep them talking about it. You know, on Father's Day, we'll say, you know, you want to talk about the daddy thing? You feel all right? You know, and now I say so much. I talk to my kids about things. They're like rolling their eyes. Mom, we don't need to talk about it.
More openness.
Exactly.
Oh, no. Is there anything you and Kelly do or do not do in front of them because you think that you have to introduce them gradually or in a different way, physically, to what it is to be gay?
You know, all they see really is love. I mean, we have a lot of friends who are gay, and men and women, and we have a lot of friends who are not gay, and they know every family's different. They know kids in their class who are raised by a grandmother. They have a very diverse school that they go to here in the city. There are other parents with gay, children with gay parents in their class. So they know that every family comes in a different size and shape. But, you know, as for how we act in front of the children, in the same way that heterosexual people act, you never act sexually in front of your child ever. Sexually is not appropriate for a kid, no matter if you're homosexual or heterosexual. They definitely see love between us, you know, but they also know, and I make it clear to them, that most of the people in the world are not gay. Most of the people in the world are heterosexual. And they say, well, like who? I say, like Aunt Maureen, like Uncle Eddie, like Uncle Timmy. They're all married to an opposite. That's what most people do. So, but it's, some people don't like it that Mommy is married to the same, because they think that it's kind of weird. And he's like, oh, my son has a girlfriend in school. He goes, I totally, Cupid shot the arrow in my heart for her. I go, yeah. He goes, when I get bigger, I'm going to marry her. And my daughter says, can girls marry girls? And I said, yes, girls can marry girls, but most girls marry boys. The chances are when you get bigger, you're going to fall in love with a boy. And they get it. You know, I am totally assuming that all my children will be heterosexual.
Do you find yourself watching and wondering?
Not really, because they're so young still. You know, I don't have anything, I don't think that gay is the way, and I want everybody to come on board with me. I think we have to be understanding and accepting of the differences in and of each other in this country. And, you know, someone's sexuality does not define their essence. It's one of the many colors that make up the rainbow of your humanity. You know, because that I'm a gay person, it doesn't change anything else about me at all.
Do you hope your kids are straight?
Yes, I do. I think life is easier if you're straight. I hope that they are genuinely whatever they are. That if they're gay, they know they're gay and they live a happy life. But if I were to pick, would I rather have my children have to go through the struggles of being gay in America or being heterosexual? I would say heterosexual. Although I think if I could take a pill to make myself straight, I wouldn't do it, because I am who I am, and I've come to this point in my life, and I'm very happy, you know. But it's a lot easier in the world to be heterosexual than it is to be gay.
But Parker is now facing school, which means a whole new level of teasing. Isn't there still stigma?
There's a social stigma.
Right, and it is difficult. I'm not going to say that it's not. I mean, when you're in 4th grade, you want to be not noticed. You want everyone, you know, you don't want your mom and dad to pick you up wearing the golf pants. You don't want their radio blasting. You know, you're an embarrassment to them no matter what you are when the child is in 4th grade. I do think the kids will get teased and, you know, in some capacity, that's very sad. And eventually, I think that it will stop, but it will only stop when we see the grown children of gay parents. My children are very happy children.
Would it break your heart if he said, I want a mommy and a daddy?
No, and he has said that.
Yeah?
Of course he has. He's a 6-year-old boy. He says, I want to have a daddy. I said, I can imagine. That would be great. And would it be easier for them if I were married to a man? It probably would. But as I said to my son, Parker, if you were to have a daddy, you wouldn't have me as a mommy, because I'm the kind of mommy who wants another mommy. This is the way mommy got born. He said, okay, I'll just keep you. You know, I mean, he's allowed to feel as though he missed out by not having a dad, because you know what? He did. But he is in a very loving, secure, beautiful home. He has the kind of life I dreamed of as a child, where you're able to tell your parents any and everything, and your parents will tell you any and everything you ask. You know, we already had the sex talk with him at 6 years old, and after I had it, I thought to myself, can I even imagine doing this with my parents? You know, we were talking about touching in private parts and how no one's allowed to touch your private parts out. If you're by yourself in your room, you can touch your private part. And so then later that day, he says to me, you know that private part thing you were telling me? I said, yeah. He goes, my whole life, am I the only one who gets to touch my private part? I said, you know what? No, honey, you're going to get older, and you're going to fall in love, and it's going to be a beautiful thing. He goes, how old do I have to be for that? I said, well, you got to be like 18 or 21. He goes, I'm totally taking 18. Now, I mean, that has nothing to do with the fact that I'm gay or not gay. Just in our house, I've just been very open with my children from the beginning. And they ask me anything, and they know that some people don't like people because they're gay. They know that. And some people may say things to tease them because their mommy's gay. But the fact that their mommy's gay doesn't mean that they're going to be gay. And even if they are gay, doesn't mean that they're not going to be happy.
Nor, she says again, does being gay or straight automatically mean that you're qualified to parent a child.
There are parents who are unqualified to be parents, straight or gay. There are gay people who are total screw-ups, who I'm embarrassed when I see them. I'm like, ugh, you know, like the whole thing with David Berkowitz, son of Sam. You remember when he was found, my best friend who was Jewish said, the mother was like, oh my God, it's a Jew. It's the same thing. There are some gay people I want to go, shut up. Enough, just live your life, you make me sick, you know. So there are idiots who are gay, and the way there are idiots who are straight, and there are people who shouldn't parent who are gay, and there are people who should. But you should be rated on how well you are able to parent, not whether or not you're gay. I will pass any test that the Florida state has for me on my ability to parent.
When we come back, Mia's story. The foster child, Rosie O'Donnell, added to her family and couldn't keep. Plus, is there something that works, a way to get good parents to come into the foster care system and adopt? Something for the children still waiting for a home tonight.
Foster kids looking for a home. For more information, go to abcnews.com.
Room service.
Oh, where's the I can't believe it's not butter? I need that rich butter taste.
Come with me.
I can't believe it's not butter. With sweet cream buttermilk and naturally cholesterol-free. I can't believe it's not butter. Outrageously great taste.
Totally new Nissan Altima.
Oh yeah! Woo! Round and round, I'm coming back. I'm coming
manage your diabetes anytime, anywhere. This is Glucerna, an ideal food for people with diabetes. Grab a delicious bar as a snack or have a shake as an occasional meal. Glucerna has the right balance of carbohydrates, fat, and protein, and it's clinically proven to help manage glucose levels. Glucerna is specially formulated to free your mind for other things. Try Glucerna. It's time for a taste of freedom. This afternoon, one of our advisors showed this dad how to protect his family and still retire at 55.
Good things are happening. I go to talk, I start to sing, yeah. Good things are happening.
Reigning world champ Michelle Kwan, rising star Sasha Cohen, their Russian rival Irina Slutskaya. Round 2, the World Figure Skating Championships, presented by Expedia.com. Coverage begins with Timothy Gable in the men's final next Thursday night at 8 on ABC.
The most powerful place in the land is also the most secretive.
Moment of truth. How do you vote?
Step inside the court.
There's no middle ground here.
I didn't mean to incite a riot.
We screwed up. We're idiots.
Mistakes happen. Let's just make sure they happen in somebody else's chambers.
There's some reporter digging around in ancient history. I just hate to see you ambushed.
Where do you draw the line?
What line?
From the producer of ER in the West Wing, Sally Field stars. The Court, Tuesday, March 26th on ABC.
Occasionally, something comes along that captures your attention. Chrysler Sebring sedan. It's received an impressive safety award. Comes with great standard features and has our outstanding powertrain pledge. A combination most sedans in its class don't offer. So it's one incredible value, no matter how you look at it. Chrysler Sebring sedan, just $16,700 after $1,500 cash allowance, and get our 7-year, 100,000-mile powertrain pledge. Responsibility.
They are certainly some of America's profound and unheralded heroes. The good foster parents who take in children who have been abused and discarded. No one ever promised that it would be easy, as Rosie O'Donnell herself discovered when she decided to foster a child.
Now that you do have this family, change your mind about a biological child?
I never felt the need to do that. You know, there are other people who have, women I know, friends of mine who have felt the need to physically give birth. I never did feel that need. I think that if you do feel the need, that's a great thing to do. But you give me any child, put him in my arms, and that will be my baby before I walk out the door. I mean, I will fall in love with any child. In fact, it's very hard on the magazine shoots where we take pictures of children who are legally free for adoption. We feature them every month in the magazine called A-List Kids. And every month, before I go to the shoot, Kelly says, "Do not come home with a child." And every time I say, I won't. And every time after the photo shoot, I end up calling to find out the history of the children, because you bond with them right away, you know, and I see myself in these kids.
She says several years ago, a story on television in Miami,
the 5-year-old little girl was raped,
kept haunting her about the plight of foster children.
Her teeth had been knocked out, and she had been savagely beaten while the mother slept in the one bedroom 6 feet away. So then my son got sick, the doctor came to the house, and I said, "Where do you practice?" And he told me the hospital that I remembered from the newscast was this young girl. I said, "I would love to meet her, can I?" Well, here was a home for 20 children who were sexually abused. I went in there, and here were all these girls from 6 years old to 18. And they were in group therapy. They were trying to connect the word on a card, happy, with the emotion on their face. So the girl would look at the card, and then she'd try to conjure up happy, and the other girls would try to guess. Because in these children, the synapses between the feelings and emotions have been severed by the abuse of the parents. So I was sat in the meeting and they said, why are you here? And I thought, I wasn't expecting that question. And I said, well, you know what? There are adults who were once children like you, and there are adults who are willing to fight for you so that you get taken care of and that you get loved and that you know you can be whatever you dream of. That's why I'm here. And then they said, do you know Madonna? I was like, yeah, but I just made a real touching point. They didn't get that.
But then, she says, the little girl from that news report walked up.
I gave her a little stone that said love on it that I had in my pocket. I said to her, Cuando tú miras entiendes te amo. When you look at this, remember that I love you. And she said, Como te amo, what's your name? Now, Diane, it's been like 10 years since anybody has asked my name, because everybody knows my name. So I said, Rosie, and then she said, will I see you again?
In the end, that little girl went back to her biological parents, and Rosie says she's fine. But the encounter did lead her to seek out another child of the storm. It would become a cautionary lesson in love and impulsiveness.
I would love to foster again, even though it was the most difficult thing I've ever done in my entire life. It created tremendous imbalance in my family.
The child was Mia, 3 years old, when she arrived. She had already been in more than a dozen homes. She hid food and clothes and was scarred so badly by the cycle of abuse. Rosie O'Donnell says she should not have been with other children. Even so, she kept her for 2 years. And remember, Mia was a Florida child. Even if she'd wanted, Rosie could not adopt.
You would have adopted Mia?
Well, whether or not that was going to be an option is irrelevant because it was off the table. Now, with her, it turns out I have 2 friends who are approved adoptive parents who were looking for a young child that age, and she is now living with them, and they probably will adopt her permanently, which is what she needs. And she will continue to be in my life forever.
In her life as a child, and a humbling reminder of a wrenching 2 years, and how a child's tiny gift can sail like an arrow into the heart.
When she first came, she didn't speak English. She would call me punta in Spanish, which is whore. She was 3. And I would say to her in Spanish, Mija, that you don't speak to me like that. In this house, I'm the mommy. And now this is a child who says yes and thank you and please, who won't speak Spanish. When I go out with her, I go, Mija, venga aquí. And she says, Mama, I know Spanish. I go, you don't? She said, no. This child, the one day when she, after a year, I put her in bed every day for a year. I'd read her a book, rub her head, sing her a song, I'd leave the room. Every day for a year, I say, I love you, Mija. Every night she said nothing. And one day, I said, I love you, Mija. And she said, I love you too. Very low, but she got it out. And I walked out of the room and I was totally overwhelmed with emotion because I thought it was like climbing Mount Everest. This little baby who had never in her life felt safe or loved got there. She got there. And the fact that she said that, I thought, I know I will do this again. I know I will try to take another child who's in the abyss and pull them back onto the edge and set up their life so that they can live happy and loved and secure forever.
Mia's story is a reminder that different children need different kinds of parents and different kinds of homes. Is it possible that there is a system anywhere that knows how to do this? When we come back, something that works.
And still to come, what the children of gay parents face.
People there would make fun of my dad's and me.
I've been teased just by like one person. I thought I could trust him, but I couldn't. When I told him, he was like started laughing.
When Primetime returns.
What is the secret to this cat's amazing brain power? Garfield knows that to do your best, you need to get a good night's sleep. Sleep recharges your body and keeps your brain working in tip-top shape. Get at least 9 hours of sleep each night, and remember, sleep well, do well.
It's the JCPenney shopping spree. 25% off great merchandise throughout the entire store. Everybody ready? Better make room. Hurry into the shopping spree. It's all inside. JCPenney.
What do I want in a Glade plug-in? Well, it'd be fresh. What about a nightlight? A bright one that goes off when you don't need it and doesn't block my outlets. Perfect.
Introducing Glade Plug-in's Extra Outlet Nightlight, the only one that freshens, brightens, and doesn't block your outlets.
Plug it in, plug it in. Now that's a bright idea.
Plug in the new Extra Outlet Nightlight. SC Johnson, a family company.
From oil changes to brakes to tune-ups, customers feel confident knowing Midas Total Car Care has their car running in top shape.
She's running great. Let's jump the bridge.
But where do you go? You go. What are you gonna do? Total Car Care. Midas, we do that.
All these appliances. There has to be an easier way to cook.
The simplest appliance is Reynolds Wrap Heavy Duty Foil.
Just wrap ingredients into packets to lock in all the flavor and nutrients. Reynolds Wrap. It's the way that you do it.
Wow.
I think they like it.
Yeah. Rediscover the skin nature intended you to have with Aveeno Daily Moisturizing Lotion. Made with oatmeal, which holds moisture naturally, Aveeno lasts for 24 hours. Aveeno. Discover nature's secret for healthy skin.
It's the JCPenney shopping spree. 25% off great merchandise throughout the entire store. Everybody ready? Better make room. Hurry into the shopping spree.
It's all inside.
JCPenney.
In this segment, some good news and our persistent question. What right does a child have to a permanent family? And do the children in the foster care system yearning for adoption prefer gay families to no homes at all?
It's just like being with two moms, or like...
It's just like being with a mom and a dad,
But except it's just both boys, that's all.
Once again, the kids at the center of that Florida gay adoption court case.
Do people ever talk to you about the fact that your parents are gay?
Yeah, sometimes.
I never even knew that.
People there would make fun of my dad's and me.
What did you say?
I didn't really have a response because I was kind of like a shy kid. This kid was a punk, a popular kid.
Was that hard on you?
Yes, very.
About like in my class, they're not really making fun of me, but they're like asking me questions. Why? How did you like get born and stuff? And I like say that I was adopted.
I like tell my best friends because they don't really care.
Lots of my kids that are like picking on you. I've been teased just by like one person, which is like I thought I could trust him, but I couldn't. When I told him, he was like started laughing.
People do make fun of people if they're weird or queer or something.
Children are teased for all kinds of things. We're there. We're there to help support them and get them through it. When people find out he's HIV positive, they get teased. He's black. I mean, Portland has a small black community. He may get teased.
He's a foster child.
He may get teased. But we're there for him. And, Frank's has a good foundation, and he'll get through it. There's no way to protect the child from getting teased.
Yet we wondered, if you're a child in foster care, would the teasing be worth it to have a family? Everyone has an opinion.
Gay adoption is probably not right for me, because I've been in one lesbian home, and that was like over the weekend, and it was really, really strange to me because it just didn't feel right.
You get teased being a foster kid, you get teased because you got no name brand sneakers on, so you're gonna get teased for all different reasons, As long as I have a family, as long as you have somebody that cares for you.
So what if there were a magical place where a child could actually help choose? Where social workers weren't passively waiting for adoptive parents, but actively recruiting the most capable parents for every single child.
Hey, Mike. Hey, now.
Believe it or not, there is such a place. It's called Pittsburgh.
What Pittsburgh did was to go back and look at this huge pool of children that were really languishing in foster care, and to have a worker go out to every single foster family first and say, would you consider adopting this child? What would it take? What do you need to, what kind of support do you need to make this decision?
Get set, go!
Both financial and psychological support, before and after adoptions that fit. For instance, a child who loves horses might get a family with horses. A child who needs to be alone, a family without other children. And the results have been astonishing.
You can't go upstairs.
Successful adoptions have increased 8 times since 1993. Take the case of 16-year-old Shane, a football-playing foster child who was placed in a home with gay fathers.
So how was school today?
A French teacher and a plumber, who have been together for 9 years and found a way to disarm Shane's anger by promising never to leave him. Now, the whole football team comes to dinner at Shane's house every Thursday night before the game. Shane says all of them work together to protect him from any teasing.
I feel normal, safe. 20 years from now, I'll still be liking it here, you know. Being thankful that I have a home and someone to look up to.
Every happy family, a child's dream come true. And you didn't know it, but you've already met some more happy endings tonight.
When I was moving around, I wasn't a very happy kid because, well, I would get in fights and stuff. But then I found people who cared about me and I stopped. And I was a lot happier and acted better.
When I got adopted was the happiest time because I knew that I was there forever. So I knew that I had a stable home and parents who would love me. And that was the happiest day I've ever had. The fact that I knew I wasn't going anywhere.
I felt like a child in a candy store.
I got to choose my mother, and she got to choose me, meaning that she'll always love me.
I just wanted to have parents that were there for me, you know, it didn't make a difference as long as they were there for me and you know, saying just to have a family.
I wasn't adopted until I was 12, and I mean, people think, oh God, a 12-year-old, who wants a 12-year-old? But I'm not so bad. I love school, and so, you know, I was in the honors classes, I had straight A's, and, you know, I was a perfectly good kid.
And little James says he learned something surprising.
I decided that I didn't need a mom, and I had 2 dads and a happy family. It's different. I mean, it's a little bit harder, but it's still great, and it works. Get the water! Look at me, I still turned out great, and I didn't care that I had 2 dads. I just cared that they loved me.
President Bush has said, I believe children ought to be adopted in families with a woman and a man who are married.
Well, he's wrong. President Bush is wrong about that. He's really wrong. If he'd like, he and his wife are invited to come spend a weekend at my house with my children, and I'm sure his mind would change.
What do you say to your kids about religion and prejudice against homosexuality?
You know, I said, they make Mommy feel like I'm somehow not good enough because the way my heart loves isn't the way they think is right. But you're a blondie, I'm a brownie, I can't change that. That's how I got made. So he gets it. We're very religious, very spiritual family, very God-oriented. I have a firm and full belief in God, and always have. There's a line in Les Mis, my soul belongs to God, I know. I made that bargain long ago. He gave me hope when hope was gone. He gave me strength to carry on.
What's your prayer for them?
That they'll move through life with the grace and dignity that only comes from having once been cherished. That's an Anne Rice quote. My job is to cherish them, and I do. They are the reason for my life. They gave my life Technicolor in one that had been black and white, and I can't imagine the world without them. I wish that they'll grow up to be happy and to understand that kindness counts.
And for those children in foster care?
For those kids in foster care, I'll say this, I'll keep fighting for them. I'll keep fighting that each one of those 500,000 kids find a safe place to land. And I think as long as the place is safe, they don't care what the parents do in the bedroom. They don't. And the state of Florida shouldn't care either. The state of Florida should thank the Loftons. They took in 4 black HIV-positive children, one of whom died. They've cared for them relentlessly, to a great extent to the detriment of their own personal lives. They've been unbelievably giving. They should be held up and heralded as the perfect family, not as one that needs to be pulled apart because of hatred.
And if you were telling somebody out there about your family, what's the first thing you'd tell them about your family?
That they're nice.
They're great.
Have you ever said, I wish I lived with a mom and a dad?
No. Never.
No. Never.
Never?
And 5-year-old Ernie, who had squirmed and pouted and complained through the interview that he couldn't get in a word, finally had his chance.
And what's the first thing you would say about your family, Troy?
Let's see. I loved them. Okay, that's Ernie's. That's Ernie's.
I lost my identity years ago. I'm somebody's dad, and I just happen to be their dad, which is okay.
I think it's great.
How much of it have you told Bert?
Well, we told Bert that that we're trying to adopt him, that we are not legally able to in the state of Florida, and that we're challenging the law. Did we tell him that there's a risk that he may be, that somebody may come? No.
Be careful. Thank you.
There's no reason to put him in a position where he feels threatened for the only family he knows.
What questions do you all have when you sit and talk about it? Do you ask about it?
Like we ask like stuff, why are they like doing this? Why can't we just have Bert just because he doesn't have an HIV?
So, 10 years from now, what's your dream?
That they're all out of the house.
10 years from now, I don't know.
But Ernie will only be 15. But I just hope that everyone is as happy and healthy as they are today in 10 years.
Yeah, and I hope that in 10 years the law has been changed so that there's the availability to gay couples that want to adopt. And I hope that there's a cure or a vaccine for HIV.
What's your happiest time of day?
For me, it's when I get home, get home from work and everyone's home.
Hey, Rod. Hi, honey. How you doing?
Oh, some people are running to the door saying, Roger, you're home, and getting a hug. I mean, it always makes, no matter what kind of a day I had, it always makes my day.
Bedtime.
Okay, Bert, it's your turn. Brush your teeth, okay?
Yeah.
Everyone's completed the day, they're rested, they're tucked in. The worries of the day and the schedule and the things that we're doing are over with. Yet, everyone's going to sleep excited about tomorrow, what we're going to do.
Can I do that?
All
right, sit tight.
Okay.
It's a real safe feeling. And everyone's home secure and safe, and we're ready to start it again.
And on behalf of the Lofton family, the ACLU set up a website so that people could email their opinions to Governor Jeb Bush. And they tell us that as of this afternoon, 97,000 email messages had been sent to the governor's office. We have so much more on this emotional debate, the latest research, and how you can become a foster parent at abcnews.com. We also have a program reminder. Tomorrow night on 2020, Barbara Walters broadcasting from Saudi Arabia with 2 of the fathers of the 9/11 hijackers. So that's it for us tonight. We thank you for joining us. I'm Diane Sawyer, and from all of us at Primetime Thursday, see you in the morning, and good night.
This has been a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source.
The 74th Annual Academy Awards, live Sunday, March 24th on ABC.
The mayor and county executive have a new plan to collect hundreds of thousands of dollars, and Erie cracks down on massage parlors. Action News 24 is next.
Some without heart disease have had serious heart-related problems, so talk to your doctor, especially if you have risk factors for heart disease such as smoking, high blood pressure, or high cholesterol, or if you're pregnant. Nurses.
Silver Fire, ABC Saturday, 9/8 Central.